This is Suspenders Unbuttoned podcast. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Julie.
Join us for unbuttoned and unedited conversations.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Suspenders Unbuttoned podcast. My name is Sarah.
And I'm Julie, and we're excited to welcome Adam Jordan, producer and actor. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome, Adam. Thanks for coming. It's kind of fun how we found you. So, or actually, you all found us. And I'm glad we get to talk about your new film, or is it out yet?
It is not out yet. We have one more pickup shoot that we have to do. The 3rd, 4th, and 5th of January, we did 3 days of principal photography where a whole cast and crew of just remarkable filmmakers from here in the Tampa and St. Petersburg area, we all got together. And it was 3 great days, great footage, a break in the weather, which was phenomenal. And we got one more day that we're going to pick up in February, and then we'll get to post-production and color grading and sound and all that fun stuff that comes after.
Great. So this is still a work in progress, which is really fun because we can follow along a bit with your journey. Tell us a little bit about your short film.
So right here is it's a story about loss and grief and making memories that can withstand things that life throws at you. We walk alongside my character, Dylan, as he is trying to navigate this pain of loss and hurt and regret after missing his father's passing. We placed Dylan in an impossible situation between balancing work life, family, being a husband and a father, and also being a caregiver to his father who's sick. And the one moment Dylan takes to be there for his family, he unfortunately misses his father's passing away. And it's a deep story. It's an emotional story. It is inspired by my own grandfather who passed away in 2020. And ultimately, I wanted people to see the struggle to get redemption and reconciliation through these memories that people cherish. Because I think it's a community that just doesn't get a lot of attention. But the more I've dug into this, dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, hospice care, these sort of caregiving type of situations, it's so prevalent and it's so impactful, and it affects so many people.
So you're talking about how this healthcare journey really impacted you, your family, so much so that you made a film. As somebody who's a healthcare provider in those settings, I think we appreciate hearing somebody impacted in a way that made them change their perspective about something like that. What was something that you saw in that journey with your own grandfather that impacted you to want to tell this story?
Well, I guess you could say the catalyst for what really inspired it was my own father. So my own father carried a lot of regret because he really wanted to be there for his passing. And I remember I just talked to him a couple days ago, and he was recalling this conversation that he had with my grandmother. And he's like, Mom, I want to be there. And she's like, we don't need you here right now. She's like, I'm going to need you afterwards. Mm-hmm. And that was such a human moment to have the son being told by the mom that, like, we don't need you to be here right now. Like, there's nothing you can do. He's gone. Let us deal with all this. And then, like, I'm going to need your support afterwards. And so it was really like that conversation is kind of what sparked this whole thing for me. And then I remember, like, personally, I've known of hospice care and palliative care and that type of stuff. But to hear, like, my grandmother talk about how impactful those nurses were to the family as a source of strength and a source of guiding stability through what could be a couple days to a couple weeks or sometimes months. I know hospice nurses are not supposed to get attached and stuff like that, but after talking with so many people, I don't know how you can be a human and not get attached to these families, because it's so impactful. So I wanted to tell that story. I really wanted to showcase hospice nurses and families and caregivers who are unsung a lot of times.
I think healthcare workers are not told they don't have to be, they can't get attached anymore. It's part of the drive to provide that care, but it's a calling too. And it really is wonderful that your grandmother got such supportive care, because they not only care for your grandfather, they're caring for her too, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I have a friend who is a hospice nurse and has been doing this for many years, and we've talked quite a few times about like how could you actually do this job where like there's so much sadness
Yeah.
surrounding it, right? And she's like, she I think like Julie mentioned, it's a calling. She's like, well, I love it because it's actually quite beautiful to
Mm.
be there and witness families, um, the love families have in the grieving process,
Yeah.
and being able to provide that care and that comfort. And she's like, I would never want to do anything else. And I think
Wow.
for an outsider, it's hard to think about that
It
perspective,
is.
be around something so sad all the time. But yeah, it
Yeah.
is quite beautiful. And I really love that you wanted to emphasize that in the film. So since this was so personal for you and your family, and you wanted to share that story, how did you choose this medium to share it? Like a short
Ooh,
film versus something like a longer length film?
great question. So full disclosure, this was my first rodeo into the film and TV side. I did acting and stuff in high school, and then I put it aside. I joined the Coast Guard in 2007, and I've been an active duty Coast Guard member since 2007. So I jokingly tell people that I kind of put aside the creativity for the stability.
Mm,
But I sort of always had that passion. Like I enjoyed writing and just being creative. I just let that manifest itself in different ways. And just through fate and circumstance, I found myself working a pretty large scale movie production back in September of 23. And I guess I did a good job because the people that were on the film, they contacted me later and asked me to still be a part of some other projects they had going on. And I had gotten the idea to write this. It was just a short story, just something just to get my mind onto paper.
mm,
And that's kind of how it all started. And I remember one of these projects I went to work on, uh, Bobby Marinelli, who was our first assistant director and just a remarkable filmmaker and just professional in the industry. He calls me up. He's like, "Hey man," I was like, "I could really use your help with this other project, but we're all budgeted out." So he's like, "I can't pay you, but what I can do is I can offer you some assistance and support for your short story that you're wanting to turn into a short film." And I was like, "Oh, well, I know the kind of people you hang out with. So yeah, absolutely. That's worth its weight in gold to me." So I did. I helped him, did a good job. And then he plugged me into a really good friend of his, Ronan Tattersall, who was the director for this film. And is just one of the most gifted and talented people I've ever seen. His ability to focus and drive the team towards a common vision and to really, really envision what each shot is and how best to communicate the story. To watch him work was like watching a master painter. It was so cool. So we didn't have enough material to do a full feature because it takes a really long time, especially to the quality that we were wanting to do. And I wanted to get something out there. I wanted to get the story told quickly. So between myself and Ronan and Bobby, and we brought on a terrific director of photography who knows lighting, knows camera. His name's Chris Anderson. Again, a talented filmmaker here in this area. We all three kind of started putting our heads together, came up with the ideas, and it took about 16 months between Ronan and I working this script over and over and over, which is a very long time for a short film.
mhm.
But I'm so glad we did because it translates so beautifully into just the quality of the storytelling. It is emotionally heavy, but
Right.
we were also able to incorporate some very like soft and just precious moments into the film that are anecdotally very much about my own life and relationship with my father. So it was just the way it all worked together was magnificent to get plugged into the right group at the right time to tell this story. And then we partnered with Well Seen Incorporated, a local nonprofit that provides support and care to caregivers. And their mission set was directly in line with the story we were telling about hospice and palliative care and Alzheimer's and dementia and stuff like that. And like I said, it's just one instance after the next of it perfectly falling in line. So to answer your question, a short film, it guided itself there, really.
Yeah. Where do you see this short film airing or being seen at?
Great question. So what we're going to do is hopefully we'll be wrapping around April or May. And as soon as we're done, I've already got a list of film festivals in the local Florida market that we're going to start putting it in. And I have full faith and confidence in the product we're going to put out to do very, very well. And as soon as we start to really build up that momentum and that visibility in these local markets, I'm going to take it to the state level, and we're going to push it as high as the ceiling will let us go. So
That's fun. I really do love that. You know, it kind of just all keeps happening for you, and by connecting with the right people. And I think that's amazing. And if, it does well, I would suspect in these festivals, are you hoping to turn it into a full length film?
Oh yeah. 100%. 100%. So like people often ask, they're like, how do you make money in a short film? I mean, and there's ways to make money. You could sell t-shirts and koozies and all sorts of stuff like that at your premieres. But for me, we didn't do this for money, which is another reason, to your point, why I know for a fact that, one, this film was supposed to get made, because I somehow managed to connect with the right people and get a casting crew of 42 professional actors and professional filmmakers who are working every day right now out in the snow in North Florida and the cold wind and rain right now. These are professional filmmakers. I got them to give me 4 days of their time for free, without pay, because they believed in the story. They believed in the quality of what it was we were putting out. And it was, it's just gonna do so good. And this is my way of honoring them is through that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We love that drive, and connections have been a big part of how we've moved along too. So that's a great story about how connections can make something really important happen. You also act in this film. Tell us a little bit about.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Tell us a little bit about who you play and about.
I did. I had big dreams, and there were definitely times where I thought I bit off more than I could chew. But I took a lot of solace in the fact that we don't have a single regret from any of our castings in this. And so when you surround yourself with very, very talented actors who know how to convey emotion and tell a story and deliver a paragraph with just a look, it makes your acting that much easier, right? Because you're able to be that much more authentic with it. And because the story was so personal and so relatable to me, it was difficult at times, but Larry Bukovi, who is he plays my father in this, very, very talented, very gifted, and very experienced actor. To have him right there by my side the whole time was very, very helpful to me. And so while I had done acting and stuff in high school, and I was Pony Boy in The Outsiders and Huck Finn and all this other stuff, that's where I started to get the itch, and it kind of always simmered there for a while. But I got tired of waiting around for the right story to come along that I could identify with. I don't just chase every shiny script that comes across my desk. And so I was like, you know what? Like, I feel like the industry, this area, and really just audiences in general, I think they're craving substance. They're craving good, strong messaging. There's a lot of beautiful stories out there that don't have to be horrific and traumatic in nature, but you can still communicate these truths that we live every day to really just get people on board with your vision and your mission and what it is you're trying to do. So to answer your question, just having those actors around me made what I did so much easier and so much more rewarding. And I was able to learn a ton. Like, I can't tell you how much this whole process between acting and writing and producing has been a collegiate level education in filmmaking. Ironically, while I was actually finishing school. So it's been a busy 2 years.
Yeah. Perfect.
And were you in school for this?
No, I was in school for my MBA. So I graduated. Okay. I graduated December 16th, I think.
Well, congratulations.
I graduated with my MBA. So like I said, it's between work and school and family and all of this. It's been a busy 2 years, but we've been rewarded because every step of the way, if there was a door that closed, a window opened, another door opened, we pursued it, and just one thing just started falling into place right after the next. And It's been a beautiful learning opportunity. I've really enjoyed getting to put myself into this character, both writing it as well as trying to act it out authentically. Because it really is. I mean, it's my dad basically
Right.
is what
Was
it
that
should
kind of a lot of pressure to
play my
play
dad.
him? Yeah.
Um,
To
I
like
wouldn't say
tell the story the right way.
there was pressure to tell the story because the entire time I was very adamant about like I need the quality to be at the absolute highest. Quality sound, quality lighting, quality cinematography. Because if these people are not getting paid for their contributions to this film, I was very demanding about. I want them to be so proud to have their name attached to this project. Like that. That's the deliverable for me as a producer, as a creator, and that Ronan and I both bought into that. And so when it came to playing my dad, the pressure was more on the movie side. It was more of an honor to play my dad. I didn't see that as a pressure opportunity as much as it was I get a chance to make my dad cry. This is awesome.
Right.
But it's been good. It's been very good. It's been a very rewarding experience and very humbling to put myself in the position that I have not had to experience myself. And I hope I never have to, but to internalize and to talk to my dad and to have him kind of unpack what he was feeling a bit more, and then think of like, okay, how can I convey this and communicate this through my words and actions and visual storytelling. It's been a very unique experience, but very rewarding.
So you had 42 people who donated their time. You initially connected with a couple people, but how did you keep bringing people in until you had all the people you needed?
So it really was a trickle down effect. So it started with Bobby Marinelli and Ronan Tattersall. Like I said, because these guys are professional filmmakers and they do terrific work, they already have their tight group of people who they work with day in and day out from different companies. It's all just sort of the same circle going around and around. So they were the ones who brought them on, and I had worked with a lot of them on previous projects. But one person after the next, what I started realizing, especially when people who were already volunteering their time and experience also started financially contributing through donations, what I started to realize is like, oh, I don't really like, all I have to do is ask, but I'm not the one that's keeping them there. Like, it's the quality of the storytelling. And when you have a strong script, and any good actor, and I think the person you one of the folks you just interviewed recently, I think I remember him talking about, like, if you have a good story and a halfway decent script, like it will attract creatives to that. Right. And that's why I'm so thankful that Ronan joined this project, because his creativity and the way he sees things really helped me take what would have been a heart eviscerating story. He turned it into a very palatable thing that people can feel what they need to feel, have their highs, have their lows, and eventually reach the same conclusion that Dylan does at the end. So it's all about the story. If you got a good story, people will flock to it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is a story that many families can relate to. So, I imagine it'll hit that spot for them, give them the feels. Yeah, I'm sure for me too. I mean, my own grandmother, we went through this. So
I'm hoping Kleenex sponsors us.
Yeah, you need the Kleenex to sponsor you for sure.
Right.
I was curious when you're talking about how, I mean, you wrote the script, you produced it, and you also are starring in it. What part of that did you find the most challenging, or was the challenging part just doing them all at the same time?
Yes. So I jokingly tell people, producing is kind of like juggling flaming chainsaws. Like, you can figure out how to do it, but it's still dangerous. But my brain naturally kind of works that way with project management. Like, that's what my MBA is really concentrated in, is project management. And I'm a glutton for punishment because I do kind of enjoy it. I like taking something that is either chaotic or non-existent and turning it into something that is appealing to other people, and you get a real sense of accomplishment with it. But I definitely will not be starring as a lead and producing in another film, at least not for a very long time. I don't know how like Mel Gibson and Clint Eastwood and all these guys do it at that level. It's insane. Because you buy so much into what you want to do. And I think anybody with a heart and a mind for filmmaking, they want the best out of all of it. Right. So it takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of energy, and in expending a lot of that energy, you do kind of deplete your reserves on the creative side.
Mhm.
So, but thankfully I had such a great team supporting me in this that the week before we started filming, I was like, hey guys, like I need to unplug. I need to go to my happy place. I need to kind of decompress from everything and basically hand my baby over that I've just created with Ronan over more than a year.
Mm.
I was able to turn it over to them and let them run wild and do what they do all the time. And so that was nice because that freed me up to kind of get back into the headspace I needed to be, have some conversations, with my parents and my grandparents, and just kind of put myself where I needed to be. And yeah, it's getting to the first scene is the hardest part. But once they say action the first time, you're like, well, there's no rehearsal on game day, so you just go, you just play.
You just go. Yeah. Give it your all.
Right.
Yep.
So how did filming go? Did you have a lot of hurdles once you like really jumped in, or did things roll out pretty well?
Oh, what happened?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Did you mirrored
We're
me?
good. Yep. And we switched sides right here.
We're on the opposite sides. Okay.
All right. Ask again. Great question.
So how did filming go when you started filming? Did things go pretty well as planned, or did you run into some big hurdles?
So I'm probably going to regret saying this because I know my next project might not be as smooth, but to have had as many people we did at as many locations as we did over the course of 3 days of principal shooting, it was great. It was absolutely, it was great. Logistically, everything fell into place. Everyone worked remarkably well together as a team. Everyone had their roles. They were great at them. People respected each other. And anyone who has ever been to Florida or visited Florida or will soon visit Florida
Yes.
will know that the weather does not cooperate here, especially this time of year. We had cold and rain and just nastiness basically up until the Wednesday or Thursday before. Then we had Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of beautiful, sunny and 75, which made for a gorgeous sunset on day one where we were filming a park bench scene. It's actually our first day. We filmed the very last scene of the movie.
Yeah.
And we had a beautiful sunset, and it partnered with us perfectly. And then sure enough, we finished Sunday, and on Monday it started raining again. It was just nasty and miserable. So everything went great. Like I could not be more happy. And it doesn't matter what project I work on in the future or to what level I get personally. Like these are the people that I want tagging along with me the whole way. Because just to have a crew that can work so well together when you're driving every day. And it's very fast paced. That's why having guys like Bobby Marinelli, I don't know if you guys know this, but the first assistant director is the general. He's the one moving the troops from scene to scene, from shot to shot. And Bobby is absolutely just hands down the best I've ever seen do it. And he kept us on time and he kept us on schedule, and it all just coalesced together perfectly. Perfect weather, great crew. And it was a lot, but we got it done. And it was a very, very rewarding feeling at the end.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be. I
Yeah.
love it.
You know, when we talk to producers or directors too, in particular, they'll always talk if they had their normal people with them or not. And it just makes such a huge difference. And sounds like you found your people.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. These are my people.
Yeah.
I will take them as far as they'll let me go with them.
Yeah.
Right. And when you feel safe and heard and understood by, people you're working with, that just makes a huge.
That's the other thing. I want to give a special shout out to Ronan, and here's why. So Ronan was a student filmmaker, and he's been working in the industry for, several years now, and he's done very, very well for himself and behind the camera. He's a wonderful, wonderful cameraman. He chose my film for his directorial debut, which anyone in the film and TV industry will tell you that's kind of a big deal. Like when you step out into that type of leadership role, it's a big choice. Like if you're going to fail, like that's not the time you want to fail.
Right.
So for him to put his faith and confidence in this story and to help me craft it into something he would be proud of as a director. And then I can't tell you, just to watch how soft he is with the way he speaks to people, the way he communicates his vision, the way he will work scene by scene and line by line with you to figure out what you need to be successful as an actor. It's just, man, he's got such a bright future. And I jokingly tell him, I am happy to staple myself to your coattails and ride you as far as you'll let me go. Because, I mean, like, when you see someone who is that good at their job, and especially when they will be that much better in the future, the more they do it, it's an incredible thing to watch. And yeah, I gotta give a huge plug to Ronan Tattersall. So,
And it sounds like he really gets more out of the people he's directing then because of those traits.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like having a good director can bring out the best and the worst in people. And I've seen, just in my limited experience, like, I've seen not good directors. And so to see him kind of at the start of his directorial journey, just already be at the level, and to get feedback from other actors about working with him, because they've done more than I have. And they're like, Adam, we've worked with some real class acts, if you know what I mean. But Ronan was so pleasant to work with. And so I that speaks highly for his professionalism and where he's going to go. And if you can make your crew and your cast comfortable and still get the job done on time and on schedule, that's the golden ticket right there.
Right. I mean, we love to talk with directors because what they do is always complicated, and it's interesting, and it's so important. And I think having learned and spoken to so many directors now, we really appreciate hearing about.
It's fascinating. There's no way I could do it.
Right.
No way.
They have to put all these different pieces together, and it's amazing. And to do it with such good humor and good heart is.
Oh, he's got such a great heart. He's a funny guy. He's so funny.
So you've made this film. If we're watching your film, how does it look on the screen to us? Is it a lot of close-up conversations? Is it what is it that's going to give us that look for your film?
Yeah, every single shot is just a close-up of me. I actually don't let any of the other actors get seen at all. No, to be clear, I was very adamant. I was like, I don't care about my shots. I just want the whole thing to be good in its totality. Right. So when you guys edit it, however you need to edit it to make it work, take me out if you need to take me out. I just want it to be a great film. So it was shot on a Sony FX6, I believe. And it was a very, very nice camera. And because we have such a talented director of photography, and anybody will tell you, if they've done this for any length of time, good lighting and good sound will make the picture that much better. And then you put on top of that, having a decent camera with a good set of lenses, it really, really gives that cinematic quality. I got some stills and stuff that I'll be able to show you. And we're actively working on a trailer right now, or like a little, not a trailer, more like a teaser video, where you'll actually get to see some of the final color graded footage to quickly encapsulate what the story is about. But it was so far beyond what I expected it to be, right? Because this was just going to be an iPhone and a shotgun mic, like me just doing something for fun. To see what it turned into, even before we got the color graded footage back, just to see the thought and the attention to detail and the set design and the composition of what was actually on frame. It's like, I tell people, like, when you watch a movie, you know when you watch a good movie. You don't really know why it's a good movie. You just know, like, man, that's a really good movie. Like, Robin Williams killed it. But you do know when it's not a good movie. You do know when the sound's not good. You do know when the lighting just seems a little off. You do know when, like, why are they standing and facing that way? There's none of that in this film. Like, every shot was meticulously designed. Ronan and Chris worked wonderfully together to really pull it off. And it was so far past my expectations that I let them go and do what they do best. It's like, you guys just tell me what you want me to do.
Yeah, so I was just going to ask you, I think you kind of answered my question, but did you have a vision when you were writing this? And then how did that vision come to life? But it really seems like your vision developed into something that you weren't even prepared
Yeah,
for.
which is why I feel like, golly, I feel like I'm spoiled now because like it's like I feel like my first time at bat, I just hit a grand slam, and that's not even how that works in real life. But I mean, I feel like I've won the lottery here because what I had envisioned was at what I thought was already a high level, like in my mind. But there's something so amazing when you hear people saying the words that you wrote,
Mm.
when you see a scene playing out in front of you, and then you watch it on camera on the footage later, and you're like, I built that scene. Like I wrote that scene. Like this is like this. There's a scene in particular. This is super, super real life. My father performed my wedding ceremony to my wife back in, I feel like I should know this, 2008. Before I went onto the stage and all that, him and I had a conversation backstage. And he was dressing me down, fixing my tie, doing this whole thing. It was a real like father-son moment. And I remember him asking me if I was nervous. And I had just chugged like a 5-hour energy and like 2 Red Bulls. So yeah, I was a little jittery. And we just have this really like sweet, intimate moment. And I wrote that into this movie. And that was really one of those scenes. And we shot that on the second day. That was one of those scenes that when I saw it coming together, and then I actually saw the footage that we shot of me and Larry, who plays my father. When I saw us kind of there in profile, and he's like dressing me down, and we're having our little funny banter back and forth, I was just like, I was reliving that moment back from 2008 all over again, and it was incredible. There's really no other way to describe seeing something so beautifully captured, better than how I had imagined.
Mm-hmm.
And then in a lot of cases, like exactly like what I had thought. And Ronan was able to capture it just so meticulously, and it's such a cool feeling.
So you get not just only the footage, but the essence of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my wife and I, we were watching some of the footage on the dailies when they sent it to us. So it was like every day I got the footage,
Mm-hmm.
and we're sitting there, and it's. At first, I thought it was going to be weird. I thought I was going to be watching myself act and do something, but it's something really, really cool happened. Is that I started just watching. I did not realize that I was watching myself. I was just watching this guy Larry, who plays James, and then this other guy who plays Dylan, just have a moment together.
Yeah.
And like there was a couple points where I started tearing up because I was just like, oh my gosh, like we just work so well together.
Mm.
And back to your previous question, that's one of those things that like I didn't have to act, right? I just had to, like, Larry and I, like, we improv'd a good bit because we knew what we wanted to say, but we wanted it to be natural and organic. So him and I would just have like these funny moments together, just like my father and I did. And man, just the way it captured on film, it's so moving, and it's just so it's gripping, because I think a lot of people can identify with that. There's a lot of really great, strong father-son relationships out there, and that's really what I wanted to capture in this story.
Mm.
I feel like people have done the poor father-son relationships quite a bit, and so I wanted to show a different side of it.
Right. And a beautiful connection when you're looking at the multi-generations in this film and your story, right? So you talked about how you hope to release this at film festivals in Florida. Would you ever consider submitting it to other film festivals outside of Florida?
Oh, absolutely. So there's talking about the sky's the limit. Like, you always want to meet your expectations, right? I would rather do very, very well at a low level and let the natural traction and interest pull us higher than us to shoot for the moon and inadvertently get lost in space somewhere, you know? And so Dallas, New Orleans, the Florida Film Festival, and then you got the big ones, South by Southwest, and all these other things. I'm certainly never opposed to that, but you always want to be respectful of the work that has gone into it, to not inadvertently like water down what it is that you're doing by having these pie in the sky expectations. But I think, like any filmmaker, you should always shoot shoot for as high as you can, but just do it with realistic expectations. Like work your way there instead of saying, "Oh, I'm going to go straight to the Cannes Film Festival." I'm like,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
we should work on the Sunscreen Festival first here in Florida. But yeah, I mean, so that's exactly what we're going to do. Like there is a natural course where interest and visibility to the project will get you where you want to go.
Mhm.
And I think letting that organically grow to as high as it's naturally capable of is the best way to do this.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. You talked about how you're teamed up with a
Yeah.
nonprofit organization, and
Yep.
it got me thinking too. Would you use the short version that you have now? Would you use that as like educational films, or like to give to other families that are dealing with similar issues? Is that something you've ever considered as well?
So how we manifest that relationship with Well Seen Incorporated, who is our local nonprofit, like we spoke about earlier, they provide support to local caregivers, who a lot of times they don't get, I think, the voice that they need to ask for help because they're always the ones giving the help.
Right.
Mhm.
So when we partnered with Tara at Well Seen Incorporated, it fit perfectly, and I saw an opportunity to engage a group of people who would readily identify with this, where I wouldn't have to convince you to watch my movie because by virtue of what it is, you would naturally feel drawn to, I want to see how they do this. I want to see if they get it right. I want to see how much effort they actually put into telling my story as a caregiver. And so when we partnered with Well Seen, it naturally started happening that way. We started getting a following on Facebook and on Instagram, and the organic growth is far better than having to go out and solicit for views.
Mhm.
I get to hear stories. People send me text messages and emails. They'll send a donation and then they'll write a little message in there about what it means to them or who they lost or what their specific story is. And it's so moving, and I love that. And if they can use it for an educational purpose, if they can use it for some sort of their own redemption story to help them process their emotions.
Mhm.
Some people are open books, some people are closed books. I think regardless of which book you are, this film's going to make you feel things. And it's not meant to hurt people, but it's meant to let people know it's okay to feel pain. It's okay to
Yeah.
feel hurt. And cherishing those memories that we build along the way is really what this story is about. I mean, like there's a line in the movie about it's not about being there for every moment that matters. It's about making the moments you are there something special and unforgettable. And that's really the antithesis of what this whole thing distills down to.
Yeah. It's a beautiful, beautiful
Right.
message. Yeah.
And I just think, in a way, a bit of a celebration of the end of life.
Yes.
It's, there's a saying we sometimes say is, it's not illegal to die, it's normal, and that it's a beautiful part of life. And I just think that some of these caregivers and families, as they go through that, to understand it is normal and a beautiful piece of living is
Yeah, I mean,
actually end of life. Yeah.
what do they say? Death and taxes. Like those are the only two real certainties in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we lost my father, or I'm sorry, when we lost my grandfather to, he had dementia, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's, the whole trifecta. It was very difficult for the family
Mhm.
to watch him go through that.
Mhm.
But there is something, and this was, but back to your earlier question, Sarah, about getting into character and really like, did I feel pressure and things like that? What I found was when I started talking to people, like I talked to a lady and she said to me, she said, it's a very strange feeling as a family member or as a caregiver to want your loved one to pass away. And I'm like, can you explain that? And she's like, because she's like, you love them and you care for them so deeply, but you can see, even sometimes when they're not able to speak, you can see the pain. So she's like, dealing with that selfishness of wanting to keep them, but also dealing with the need to let them go. When
Mhm.
she was explaining this to me, like it took everything I had not to just lose it right there in her driveway. Cause I was like, that's a very, very real thing.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so I took a lot of that conceptually into playing Dylan. Like there's some scenes where I lose it, you could say, and I really let that emotion express in a variety of different ways. And that's really what I was leaning on for that is processing. How do you show love by wishing someone would hurry up and pass on, because you don't want them in that situation, you don't want them in that position anymore. And it's like letting go is it's a weird juxtaposition to deal with. And I think that tension is what gets a lot of people, and I think that tension is what I'm hoping this film allows people to release. Like, don't hold guilt to yourself for feeling that way. It's okay.
It's one of the most loving things I watch is for families to allow their family member to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I think a lot of people have. I think a lot of people have experienced that. So this is yeah.
When I was researching, it was something like 7 million caregivers, that like 9.5 million Alzheimer's and dementia patients. Like, it's just outstanding numbers. Like, when you start to dig into it deeper, and the amount of people who have it, who are dealing with it, who are providing caregiving support, it's just, I hope they get more visibility and support and awareness from this, but it shocks me that they don't already have it. And I know, like, everybody's got their own issues, like everybody's got their own lives, and there's diseases and injuries and everything's rampant. But it's when something hits you personally and in your family, you can't help but take notice. And some people write books, some people write short stories, some people get tattoos to commemorate their loved ones. I just decided to make a movie.
I love that. That's where your passion went, and people are going to appreciate that vision.
Absolutely. Yeah. So tell everybody, Adam, how people could donate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Well Seen Incorporated is, like I said, they're our nonprofit fiscal partner that we teamed up with. You can go to imseen.one.
Okay.
And then right at the top of their page, I think it's the fourth item, you'll see Right Here Short Film. That's the easiest way to get to it from the internet. You could also follow us on Instagram at @righthere_film. And I'm constantly dropping BTS footage and reels that we put on there. And when we get the teaser trailer out, that's where it's going to go. And then we're also on Facebook as well. Again, Right Here Short Film. You can see it. But yeah, I'm really pushing people to Instagram because it's just the easiest place to see what's actually going on. I love BTS. I love, ever since I was a kid, when you got to see, like, how did they make Star Wars? How did they make this and that and Indiana Jones? I was like, oh, wow, that didn't look nearly as scary as I thought it was. So yeah, like, I enjoy putting out this BTS footage, and we have a great social media manager who is making it happen. So yeah, Instagram at @righthere_film or imseen.one, and you can click our link right there at the top to donate.
Awesome.
Yeah. We can add that link into some of our posts too. So
excellent. I love that. Thank you so much.
And we'll tag the accounts. Would you play a little fake favorites game with us?
Sure. Fake favorites?
Well, I said that wrong. It's a fake game. So we just
it's our game.
a bunch of your favorites. Yes.
It's a fake game, but real favorites?
Yes.
Real
Yeah.
favorites. All right. A rom-com. Do you have a favorite rom-com?
Yeah, I do. Failure to Launch.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Yep.
This isn't going to go public, right? I'm not going to be.
Everybody gets to say that one because you never know what you're going to hear.
Right. Like, just so you know, the reason why I like Failure to Launch is because of Zoe Deschanel's character, not Matthew McConaughey. Zoe Deschanel was so incredible. Like, my wife and I, we still joke about the Mockingbird scene where she goes to buy shotgun shells, and she's like, "Why can't I kill a mockingbird?" And the guy behind the counter is like, "Well, for starters, there's To Kill a Mockingbird." She's like, "Great, I'll take that too." He's like, no, it's a classic piece of American literature. So yeah, Failure to Launch, that's a good one.
Right.
I have not seen that in ages, but that was fun.
Do you have a favorite movie that's not a rom-com?
Yes. Well, Of course, Shawshank Redemption is hands down
Oh.
voted the best movie of all time. That's without debate. I really like Good Will Hunting, just because I'm such a big Robin Williams fan, and like everybody else, man, that park bench monologue, like I've gone over that thing so many times.
Right.
It's just it's a terrific movie. It's terrifically well done, and it's a great, I think, way to show that up and coming filmmakers, like, you don't have to have all the fanciness, you don't have to have all the bells and whistles, but if you got a good, strong story, it'll grab you every single time.
Right.
And then you got to
right.
get Robin Williams, of course, but
I mean, Robin Williams, everybody thinks about him as a comedian, but his dramatic acting is just amazing. Patch Adams, Dead
I
Poets
love Patch
Society.
Dead
Adams.
Poet Society,
Dead,
yeah.
Dead Poets, yeah.
Yeah. Just all amazing. Yeah.
Okay, how about a favorite TV series or something that you're currently binging?
Ooh. That's the one that's gonna get me. Crap. I've binged a lot. So it all started with Dexter, and then it was Sons of Anarchy, and then we love, obviously, funny shows like The Office and what was it, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Modern Family.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of Suits. I love Suits. I'm pretty excited that they're doing Suits LA because I like Stephen Amell and the Green Arrow and all that. So I'm excited to see what he can do. But yeah,
I've never watched. My husband binged.
You never watched Suits?
No, I've never seen it.
We've watched Suits over this, and I've seen a little bit of Suits LA. They did drop a little Harvey Specter into Suits LA. I did see that. So, so he'll be there in a little bit. Probably just get it transitioned over.
Maybe I'll start that soon. I'll start Suits.
But yeah, I mean, too many to really name. But I mean, we've watched The Office. I've watched The Office probably start to finish maybe 9 times. It's like 13 seasons or something. So it's pretty ridiculous. But there's so many good, funny shows out there, and we like to mix it up.
Yeah.
Sound like good one. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite pastime or hobby?
Oh, so I do a lot of stuff. I'm pretty sure it's my ADD, but I just if I like, you see, I got a guitar. Where is it? I got a guitar right there. I like playing guitar and piano. That's kind of like when I was going through school and I had a big test or something, I'd usually play that for about 15 minutes or hop on the piano just to kind of like chill my mind out. When I get to writing and stuff, I usually go to music. I'll play like some sort of just soft music, or I'll fiddle around on the guitar a little bit. So in terms of a pastime, that's what guitar and piano have kind of always been what I've done the most to relax. But I enjoy golfing and fishing and hunting and all the outdoor stuff, but that takes a bit more active engagement,
right?
As opposed to just, it depends on what the mood is. But if it's kind of a slow down mood, it's music. If it's kind of a ramp up mood, it's probably golfing. And a friend convinced me to play pickleball the other day, and that was a lot of fun. Come to find out I'm really good at it. So I'm like, crap, that's another hobby. I gotta
add it to the list.
Now you're gonna have to start
add to the list.
The tournaments, you're gonna be at the nationals next.
Well, you guys can't tell on camera, but like I'm like 6'2", 6'3". I got pretty long arms.
Yeah.
And so you put a pickleball paddle in my hand and I can pretty much reach across the court.
I've not played pickleball. Have you, Julie?
No, but my sister-in-law is like, come on, I just started playing. So I was like,
look, in all fairness, you guys are not in Florida, because if you were in Florida, you would be playing pickleball. This place is just eat up with it.
It's big here. I'm going to tell you.
Too, but we only have a certain amount of months we can do things like that outside. Anyway.
No. So it's
you can play pickleball just with ice skates.
All the community centers have it going. Every single one.
Yeah.
All the schools and their gyms on the weekends.
I'm pretty sure it's the fastest growing sport right now.
It's been going on here a long time, actually.
Wow.
So yeah, no, it's big.
It's awesome.
So you mentioned music. Do you have a favorite music that you like to listen to? Favorite artist or band?
Ooh. Honestly, I'd have to go with, see, what had happened was when I started playing guitar, when I first joined the Coast Guard, I was listening to a lot of Jack Johnson, right? Like because I needed, like, that's just what I like listening to. So I listened to a bunch of country music because all their songs are super easy. So a lot of how I play was influenced by like that and Jack Johnson. Like when I play guitar, like I slap, I don't use a pick. And so it's funny because like even now when I try to play a new song, I'll naturally kind of have the same type of percussion that Jack Johnson would have, or Dave Matthews. I don't really dig a whole lot of the new music, but the early 2000s was great.
Yeah.
And then again, like if I go to the gym or something, I'm usually tossing on like Eminem or Tech Nine or something to kind of get me amped up. And I listen to a lot of yacht rock radio on my commutes to work.
Yeah.
So can't go wrong with the Eagles and Stevie Nicks.
Right. I'm like, oh, I'm kind of surprised I don't have an Eagles album up here right now.
Well, and Rush and Journey.
You used to have one up though, right?
I did. I rotate through what I have up there. So we have an okay album selection to go through. Do you have a favorite song though? Like a favorite Jack Johnson song?
I like Better Together. I like Banana Pancakes. There's two really, really good ones. Man, I'm trying to think, like whenever you go karaoke, you know, there's always that one song and someone's like, you got to do it. You got to do it. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well, okay, I guess I'll just do this one. You know, I don't really have a favorite song. Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Depends my mood. Yep. What I'm listening to, what I want at the gym is very different than what I'll put on at home. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if I had to just quickly grab one, it would probably be like Rich Girl by Hall & Oates or something by Billy Joel. Those tend to be like my quick go-to ones. Yep. Lionel Richie is always a good one. My wife does Whitney Houston, and I try to get her not to do that.
So fun. Come on, Whitney. It's like classic, iconic. Come on.
I'm like, babe, like who sings that song? She's like, oh, it's Whitney Houston. I'm like, you should let her do that. And then she hits me.
She should. We will side with your wife on that one.
You should, rightfully so.
Absolutely. So we will be following along on your Instagram for the film, so we can kind of keep tabs on what's happening for you, and maybe everybody else will too.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see where it goes. I'm thankful for any visibility and help we get from wonderful people like yourselves. It's been really cool to not pursue this for myself, but to pursue it on behalf of like my family and my grandfather and the filmmakers who have all partnered and the donors who have all come in. There's something very, very different about putting something of this size and scale and quality together for other people. It puts a bit more of the onus on me and my fellow filmmakers to do a good job. Knock on wood, like I eventually want to make a lot of money doing this, but I kind of like not pursuing this for profit, but for passion.
Right.
And I think you can lose that when you start getting big checks and people start trying to buy rights to your scripts. But I mean, for right now, for where I'm at, like I enjoy the passion aspect of it and what that drives us to make. And so, thank you for the platform. Thank you for the visibility and the kind words and support. And I welcome it.
Well, we're really glad to be able to support this project. I think it's something that Julie and I both, when we started reading about, we're like, oh, this is good. Yeah.
Thank you.
These are the things we like to support.
It's our vision, right? It fits our vision, and it means a lot to both of us. Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to have you in my corner. So thank you.
And we'll certainly be sharing your links and
yes, please do.
So
I guess one last thing is, so we set. I thought it was an overly ostentatious goal to set for $13,000 for our project. Right, it's a very low amount for good high quality films. So to have done what we've done with the budget that we had is remarkable. But I'm never going to underestimate the capabilities of support from other people, because I thought 13 was an unreachable goal. And we started fundraising in the very beginning of December. And we've already had, I think, over 50 donors or close to 50 donors. And right now we're about $1,100 shy of $13,000 towards our goal. And it's just, I mean, we've had donors from $25 to $3,000. And to see that range and appreciate each and every dollar equally has been incredible. And that's the last time I'm ever going to second guess what I think people's generosity and capabilities are. And the fact that Wellseen partnered with us, which means donors get a tax deductible charitable contribution, that helps too. So it's just, it's been great to see it all come together, and we're moved by the generosity. We love it.
Amazing. I love hearing stories like this, where when you're doing something and with the heart you have behind it, it's hitting other people's hearts as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can just tell that it's very genuine, right?
Very true.
So, okay, well, thank you, Adam. This was really fun to get to know
Appreciate
you, get to hear about your short film right here, and we'll be on the lookout